Madison Chock and Evan Bates stand on the threshold of their personal Super Bowl. While millions of fans turn their eyes to the gridiron for the championship game 4,000 miles away in Milan, the most decorated duo in American ice dance history faces the most critical 4-minute span of their careers. There are no helmets here, no halftime adjustments, and unlike the NFL, there is no next season to fall back on. Stepping off the practice ice in Italy, Evan Bates refused to label the 2026 Games as just another competition. He christened it their ultimate showdown. In many respects, the stakes are far higher. A football team that falls on Sunday begins rebuilding in August. In ice dance, a loss in Milan means waiting 1,460 days for a redemption arc that may never materialize. For Madison and Evan, that countdown began the moment they walked away from Beijing with a devastating fourth-place finish. But 2026 brings a volatile new element they are no longer performing solely for the panel of judges. They are gliding before a worldwide audience fresh off a binge-watching session of their lives on Netflix. With the debut of glitter and gold ice dancing, the public now holds a front-row ticket to the grit, sweat, and raw truth behind their 15-year union. They have evolved into the protagonists of a streaming sensation and the smashers of records. Now they possess just 4 minutes to demonstrate that after 5 Olympiads and a dozen championships, the ice's biggest prize is finally theirs. To truly grasp the 2026 iteration of Chock and Bates, one must comprehend the toll exacted just to arrive at centre ice. This week, Evan Bates etched his name in the history books before a single blade touched the frozen surface. At 36, he stands as a 5-time Olympian, the first American figure skater across any discipline to achieve such endurance. Rivals skating against him this week were learning multiplication tables when Evan debuted in Vancouver back in 2010, yet longevity remains a ruthless, double-edged sword. Evan summarized it perfectly to the press. When you are young, you lack the fear of failure. You simply execute. But as you age, the chase requires true bravery. Consider the implications of that word, bravery. It is typically associated with a 90-mile-per-hour downhill run, or a prodigy landing a quadruple axel. Yet for Chock and Bates, bravery is hazarding a sterling reputation when the trophy case is already full. It is the audacity to gamble 15 years of labor, fully aware of the consequences. Knowing that a single faulted edge or a microsecond break in unison can erase a decade of supremacy. They have transcended the role of the hungry upstarts seeking recognition. They are the titanium-forged veterans who have absorbed the agony of every near-miss podium and the physical debt of a sport demanding total perfection. Madison Chock, now a 4-time Olympian in her own right, views the landscape through a different lens. For her, the Games are the victory lap. She is not present merely to endure the crushing weight, but to savor the culmination of a career that has outlived nearly every peer in the sport's annals. Rather than fleeing their history, they wield it as a weapon, achieving a telepathic connection forged through 1,800 days of shared adversity. If this championship is their Super Bowl, then the Glitter and Gold series stands as their enduring legacy. When the production team behind Simone Biles' Rising pitched the docuseries, Chock and Bates set one immutable condition: absolute authenticity. In a discipline often dismissed as manufactured theatre, the duo refused to play a role. They informed producers that fabricating a rivalry for the lens was off the table. There would be no manufactured conflict with the Canadian squad of Piper Gilles and Paul Poirier, simply to drive engagement. Their aim was to expose the raw dynamic of a married couple operating simultaneously as business partners and elite athletes. The documentary, released on February 1st, shifted the public perception, inviting viewers into their living room. The world witnessed them splitting a sandwich rinkside and enduring moments of sheer exhaustion where the glamour dissolves into pure grit. Why welcome a camera crew during the most pressurized season of a lifetime? Because they understood 2026 was likely the final curtain call. They sought to capture the soul of ice dance before hanging up their skates. They aimed to prove that the dignity Evan speaks of is not a public relations slogan, but a code of existence. By allowing the cameras to capture that elusive, seamless connection they chase in practice, they compelled the audience to invest in something deeper than the scorecard. They transformed their Olympic swan song into a communal journey, transcending their status as mere names on a roster. They are the guests the world has welcomed into its homes all week, bringing into focus the quarterback vision of ice dance. In the Super Bowl, a veteran signal caller like Patrick Mahomes dominates because the chaos appears to move in slow motion. He reads the field with a clarity a rookie cannot possess, having navigated every conceivable scenario. In 2026, the ice has slowed for Chock and Bates. At 33 and 36, they are practically the elders of the Olympic Village. While their fast twitch fibers may not hold the same explosive charge they did a decade ago, their vision is sharper than ever. Biology dictates their recovery should lag behind, yet they possess an asset no rookie can purchase: absolute refined synchronization. During their historic 7th national title victory last month, the technical numbers didn't just reflect survival. They screamed total domination of the ice. Their rhythm program, a gritty, swagger-drenched Lenny Kravitz set, serves as a clinic in controlled aggression. The performance is brash and in your face, yet it is grounded by a fluidity born solely from 15 years of partnership. They don't need visual cues to find their edges. Hand placement during complex lifts is instinct, not calculation. They operate as a single biological entity. Madison defines it as that oozy state, the zone where the cold calculus of levels and grades of execution dissolves into pure sensation. Here lies their strategic ace. While competitors battle friction and force velocity, Chock and Bates simply let the performance happen. 15 years of neural mapping allows them to execute impossible elements as naturally as drawing breath. It is the figure skating equivalent of a quarterback throwing a no-look touchdown strike. To understand their return for a 5th Olympiad, observe the electricity in Milan this week. Finally, the games feel authentic again. The duo has openly contrasted the sterile isolation of the 2022 Beijing bubble with the vibrant optimism of 2026. That previous outing felt less like a celebration and more like a medical stress test. Family bans and ubiquitous masks created a landscape of anxiety. Milan, however, has restored the spectacle. Bates spent his media availability recounting cafeteria pin trading and lunch with athletes from obscure winter disciplines. He emphasized the inherent nobility of the event. He spoke of that silent shared reverence when locking eyes with a foreign competitor, understanding the sacrifice without speaking a word of their language. Madison likened the athlete village to a university dormitory, a setting that makes 30-something veterans feel like freshmen. This energy is crucial. It acts as premium fuel for their engine. When gratitude outweighs nerves, the crushing weight of the championship moment becomes bearable. Fear of losing morphs into the joy of competition, seen in their light-hearted exchanges with Amber Glenn and Ilya Malinin. As the bedrock of a squad favoured to clinch team gold, Chock and Bates do not view the village chaos as noise. Rather, it is the very oxygen sustaining their 15-year campaign. The countdown to the grand finale has dwindled to hours. The itinerary is punishing. First up is the team competition, offering a shot at double gold following the belated receipt of their Beijing hardware. Then comes the main feature, the individual. Rhythm dance on February 9th, followed by the free dance on February 11th. Their Milan playbook contains 0 defensive calls. They aren't in Italy to protect their 3 world championships. They are there to hunt the one medal that eludes them. Their free dance, set to the haunting Westworld orchestral arrangement of Paint It Black, is a strategic magnum opus. Engineered for the spotlight, the routine is brooding fierce and a total rejection of traditional ice dance romance. While their Canadian rivals, Gilles and Poirier, and the returning French juggernauts opt for classical beauty, Chock and Bates are unleashing a rock anthem inside the Mediolanum Forum. They are betting everything that the Milan panel is primed for an insurrection. Riding the surge from their 7th national title, they are charging through the Olympic gates at full throttle. Preservation is off the table. They are skating like it is 4th and goal with no time on the clock. Championships usually produce binary results, winners and losers. Yet Madison Chock and Evan Bates are engaged in a different contest. They understand that while podiums are determined by human subjectivity, hope remains the one variable an athlete commands. As Madison articulated, the gold is the objective, but the sensation is the dream. That optimism is what powers the Olympic spirit. Stepping onto the ice for their swan song, they carry more than just the American flag. They embody the relentless obsession required to chase a singular goal for 15 years without blinking. They are the last ones standing the architects of their own cinematic narrative. They are the seasoned pros who dared to pursue a phantom until it solidified into truth. A victory would crown them the oldest ice dance champions in history. Even without the gold, they depart as the most revered partnership the sport has ever witnessed. 6 months hence, championship stats fade into record books and streaming queues. But the emotion of that final glide in Milan, the glory Madison chases, will resonate forever. Because in the Super Bowl of the ice, one does not merely secure a victory, one cements a legacy. Madison Chock and Evan Bates are not simply contending in the 2026 games, they define them. And for the first time in 16 years, they stand precisely where destiny intended.